Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Butternomics. I'm your host, Brandon Butler, founder and CEO of Butter ATL, and today, got somebody special up in the podcast, man. We got somebody special in the building. The one, the only, Miss Sarah Oak Kim. You gotta say the whole thing like a Tribe Called Quest. Sarah, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Brandon.
Thanks for showing up. It's always good to see you. One of the friendliest people in Atlanta I know.
Really?
Absolutely.
That says a lot. You know a lot of people in Atlanta.
It's always
yeah.
good. It's always good. So, Sarah, man, I appreciate you pulling up. Now, we were talking a little bit before we got on. You know I chat GPT everybody before we get on.
I love that.
You know, so I did look you up on chat. I said, write me a bio for Sarah. Tell me about Sarah. So instead of me asking you to tell people who you are, I asked chat who you were. And look, it came back with some stuff.
Really?
So you ready to get into this?
Oh my God, I hope not bad stuff.
No, it's all amazing stuff.
Good.
Let's do this thing. So it says Sarah Oak Kim is a co-founder and co-owner of Our Bar, a vibrant, you know, it's chat because it says vibrant, a vibrant bar and kitchen located on Edgewood Avenue in Southeast Atlanta's Old Fourth Ward. With over 17 years of experience in Atlanta nightlife and hospitality industry, she began her career as a bartender and has since become a central figure in the city's bar and community scene. Our Bar was established in 2020 by Kim and her longtime collaborators Justin DeLeon, and I want to say this correctly, Sung Hyung.
Mm-hmm.
The trio, who previously worked together at department store and later in film production, transformed their shared experiences into a community-driven establishment. Kim primarily oversees marketing and event programming and community outreach, organizing a diverse array of events such as DJ nights, karaoke, beat battles, and political forums. Beyond her hospitality role, she is deeply involved in community advocacy. She has spearheaded initiatives like voter registration drives and Narcan training sessions for nightlife professionals. One of her most notable projects is her annual Hug the Block event, which provides essential services, including hot meals, showers, haircuts, and clothing to unhoused and displaced individuals in Atlanta. In addition to her work at Our Bar, she has been active in the local civic scene as well. She's addressed the Atlanta City Council regarding challenges faced by small business owners in securing reliable off-duty police support, highlighting broader issues in the city's nightlife safety policies. She's a professional in Atlanta's nightlife scene with background, and you can find more information on her at Our Bar and all over the city. The one, the only, Miss Sarah Oak Kim. Sarah, how you doing?
I am blown away.
That's what chat said about you.
Oh my God. I tried to test my chat to see what it would say when you did it, if you did it with our episode, and it did not say anything close to that. That's crazy.
You know, I got the they get on me because I got like the $200
I was just about to ask you gotta have the $200 one. I'm stuck at the 20. I was wondering what the difference was too, and that's it.
I go up and down in it, you know, when I have like a lot of stuff to do, I'll be like, all right, I'll pay for this for like a month. Then I go back to the 20.
Oh, that's so sick. You've definitely sold me. I'm upgrading as soon as I get out of here. That just blew my mind. The prompts that I would have to even give it to give me an answer like that, even at the $20 level, is crazy. Thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate you pulling up. So let's start this thing off, man. Tell us about Our Bar. What is Our Bar?
It's a bar. It's a headache. But no, I love it. It's a bar kitchen on Edgewood. It's owned by the three of us that you mentioned. There's a lot of profit sharing involved. I'm sure you know a lot of the staff that's kind of been there from the department store days.
Yeah.
I will say this though, Hug the Block, you know, even though I am a partner in it, it is really led by Des Lukey, who was our kitchen manager, but also a good friend of ours that I met through Dr. Dax. And he really spearheads a lot of that, and we just support him. But the Hug the Block event does take place at Our Bar on Thanksgiving Eve every year. So now this will be our 6th year.
Oh, man, that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
I'm very proud of that one.
Yeah. Now, the name Our Bar, is that because literally you and your partners all kind of came together on that? Like, what's the history with that?
So from the very beginning, we used to tag our inbox, and I've been very anal about how I tag it and color code it. And we didn't know what to name it as we were looking for stuff, so we just kind of tagged it as Our Bar and made it blue. So all the correspondence was blue. And then we just kind of was like, when it was time to make a name, we're like, let's just call it Our Bar. We've been calling it Our Bar. And it just stuck like that. I wish it had a cooler meaning, but it was a matter of convenience.
You know, people ask me the same thing about butter all the time. They're like, how'd you come up with the name Butter? And like, I'm going to be honest with you. Well, my last name is Butler.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And I did not name it after myself at all. Like, we were literally brainstorming names, and I don't even remember where it came from. It just was one of the names that popped up. I was like, you know what? I like that.
Memorable.
And we ended up going with it, and then I kind of like backed into the story. But like, you know what? Yeah, butter, you know, when you churn butter, the cream rises to the top, and it goes well. So I say all that stuff, but like the reality is, you know, it was just the name we brainstormed, and it just kind of stuck, you know.
Yeah,
so
butter is one of my favorite fats, especially coming from baking recently. I appreciate butter for what it is. There's all kinds of butter, and butter is good for you.
You know what? I bake a lot too. I do it as a hobby. I always say it's like my way to relax because as an entrepreneur, you know, you got to figure everything out, right? And what I
directions.
realized about baking was that's like the one time for me I get to follow directions.
Yes.
And because baking is more science than art. Like if
Yes.
that thing says you need a cup of sugar, you need a
Hmm.
cup of sugar. Now cooking, that's
You can
more art,
freestyle
right?
it, taste as you
Yeah,
go.
do all that. But
Yes.
like bacon is like, yo, if you got to put this thing on 350 for an hour, you better put it on 350 for an hour.
Hmm.
So for me, it's always just relaxing to kind of like bake things because I don't have to think about what
No.
happens next. I get steps and directions, and my life doesn't have a lot of directions to it. I got to
No,
usually figure
being
everything out.
thorough is nice,
No, it
and
is.
just checking it off a list and like I did all that, Yeah, it is good.
So what were you seeing? Like what inspired y'all to kind of open that space up, especially on Edgewood?
I mean, if I go back to it, at that point I was managing trouble. He had gotten into some legal trouble, no pun intended, but yeah, he had gotten into some legal trouble, and I felt kind of I was just kind of being waterboarded. I felt like a little bit, and I was a little frustrated. We were about to go on tour and stuff. We had something really big lined up with one of Kendrick's artists
Hmm.
on the West Coast. Tech had just jumped in to manage him and stuff, and I was just like, man, you keep getting into trouble over stupid stuff. Am I allowed to cuss on here?
You sure
Okay,
ain't.
yeah, I was like, you're just getting in trouble over stupid stuff. And then my cousin had just got back sung. He had got back from the military. He's a merchant marine. He had a
Okay.
little bit of cash, and he liked being overseas and visiting bars. And he was like, you have a lot of experience. Justin obviously worked with me at department store and a lot of other strip clubs we worked at. He was like, let's do a bar. My family wasn't into it. They're like, it's a lot of hard work. But when trouble kind of got into that trouble, I was like, man, I need to hedge my bet a little bit. I'm giving trouble everything I have. And if it's not just any artist that I've worked with, Abra or Dax, and it does kind of fall into the hands of other people, no matter how hard you work, it could kind of be taken away from you. So I was like, what can I do on the side that would essentially give me some insurance?
Yeah.
So we decided to open the bar, and we looked at probably about 40 something locations, and we saw the place on Edgewood, and it had just, I guess it was like going through a lawsuit battle or something, but the place had just opened up for rent.
Hmm.
And one of my vendors from department store was like, hey, I know this lady that owns this spot, you should submit. And I think we wowed her with our business plan. It was probably about like 60 something pages long. We did all kinds of market research, and this is before ChatGPT, so I was like, this
You were
is,
really digging in.
yeah, we did. It took us a long time to compile it, and I was really proud of it. And she did. It was like she didn't even like, oh, give me a second, let me find other potential tenants. She just kind of gave it to us right then and there.
And what was it like? What do you think was so unique about the business plan and the perspective?
I think we were just very accurate. Because a lot of the models were copy and paste from, what we did at department store, but we wanted to kind of mature with it a little bit. We didn't
Yeah.
have food there. It was ran by somebody else, obviously. I was the bartender, then the GM, but there was a lot of things that I would have done differently. And we've always said to ourselves, even back at department store days, like, if we get our own shit, we'd do it like this.
Mhm.
But now we had a chance to actually do it, and I kind of put that all into writing. And Sung is obviously way more advanced when it comes to writing, so he was able to take my thoughts, my stream of consciousness, and turn it into something feasible. Justin was able to go and do market research and average incomes and product costs and
Yeah.
liquor costs, and just kind of analyze everything to where every question that maybe the landlord would have had for us was already considered, thought of, and had a plan for. Even plan Bs, plan Cs, our competitors. I researched everybody within a 20-mile radius of our bar and what specials they were having. I have a stack of 100 menus where I was comparing prices of what they were selling. How much is their Jameson? How much is their Altos?
Yeah.
So I just felt really confident going into it too, and I think she kind of picked up on that.
There's always like a certain energy when you walk into that space.
Really?
It feels comfortable. It feels friendly. It feels like you're at your homeboy's house, your homie's house. You know what I mean? Just kind
The
of kicking it,
living
like
room. Yeah.
like in the living room, like like. And again, when I say it, to me, it almost kind of reminds me of college in a sense, not like in a college town. Well, I went to school in a college town, so I went to school in Statesboro. But I'm just saying, like, it were moments when you went over your friend's apartment and y'all just kicking it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Some people were doing one thing, some people was doing something else,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I just kind of feel like that, friendly energy in there. Like, where did that was that something that you all built into it specifically, or did that kind of like organically come about?
So a lot of us, even after department store, during that time, a lot of us lived together.
Mhm.
J-Rob had a house. I lived there. I've probably roommated with a lot of people that even work at the bar till this day. And I think a lot of that just comes back from us being at each other's houses and just kind of leave all that stuff outside. It's just come as you are. I think people kind of find their own pockets on what they want to do. And it's just, nobody's really worried about anybody else, or that's kind of what we're going for, at least. It shouldn't be like, oh, there's sections, there's bottles, all eyes are on you. There's really no expectations there. And I kind of want to keep it that way. it's a dive bar at the end of the day. That's what we wanted. We didn't want a nightclub. We didn't want something where you had a dress code.
Hmm.
It's just come as you are. And we wanted it cheap. We wanted it for people of all, especially nightlife industry folks. You get off work, you've been dealing with people all day. I just want to come and have a drink and maybe play some cards or wait for my coworkers to get off and meet me. And I think it's very service industry driven, like a shifty,
Yeah, it's like a place where the people that work in the spaces kind of want to go hang out.
decompress.
I was talking to Cam from Holiday Bar, and
Yeah.
he
Oh,
was kind of
I listened to his interview.
and he was kind of telling me something similar where like there are certain times, like I think it's on Thanksgiving,
Hmm.
to where he kind of lets everybody nobody's working, but he kind of cooks and he takes care of everything.
Yeah.
He's like, look, for all the folks that are getting off work and
Yeah.
are working a day or whatever, come here, like come
Yes.
here and kind of hang out. And it kind of feels like, yeah, it's an inviting space for people that are in those industries and kind of moving around, but also again, for folks that also just hanging out, want to come kick it, it's a space for us too. When a lot of times people talk about this idea of like culture in Atlanta. What's your definition of culture?
I think it's ever changing. I think it's really about just what Atlanta is accepting right now, or what they're prioritizing. Even sometimes I think it might be the rap scene, or it might be something that's going on culturally. But I think now we're gearing up for FIFA. I think right now rap might not be doing what it's doing, but I'm looking at comedians,
Hmm.
honestly, like a lot of these influencers and some of these stand-up comedians, even like 85 South coming from Atlanta. I feel like that's kind of going to be the new wave. It just depends on what the attention is on, maybe. It doesn't always necessarily have to be a good thing, but it is something that's very fluid. And there's a lot of things that come into culture, but staying kind of grass-rooted. And I guess, let me give you an example. Like places that kind of show up, like these mega clubs,
Hmm.
and they spend $1 million on the decor, and they come up, they fall down as fast as they come. But
Yeah.
places like Blue Flame or Follies, that's kind of been around, little hole in the wall spots that don't really press the issue and don't want to do all this like showboating. I think those places, Atlanta kind of sees through that, and they can detect when something's fake, and they appreciate the general, or like the genuineness behind something, if that makes sense. Like if you come in and you try to do too much and you try to make it like a Miami type establishment, it's
Yeah.
not going to last
That's
very
not going to
long.
work out here.
It's not. And I think that's the culture that's making those decisions. That's kind of going to say what's here to go and what's here to stay.
No, absolutely. One of my favorite authors is Seth Godin. He talks about marketing and all this stuff, and his definition of culture is the one that I've always kind of embraced. Is people like us do things like this.
Yeah.
And so when I think about Atlanta, right, like what do people like us in Atlanta do? People like us in Atlanta, we'll go to Waffle House for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You know what I mean? People
Yeah.
in Atlanta, you might go to the symphony orchestra to go see an event, then you might be at Magic City or Strokers after the event, right? Like people like us in Atlanta, we all love lemon pepper wings. So there's just these things, right? When you kind of talk about culture that, wherever you're from, like there's just certain things that are just kind of just, like unsaid, but they kind of go on. When you think about even the culture of like a space like Edgewood, like what is Edgewood? Because I mean, you all also picked that space for a unique reason and that area for a unique reason. And I mean, Edgewood has a lot of different definitions. There's a lot of things happening on Edgewood. I always tell folks, you go down there at night, go down there about like 11:30, 12 o'clock, 1 a.m.
Yeah.
It's live down there. Like,
Yeah.
what's kind of your definition of Edgewood, and why'd you all pick that place to kind of build our bar?
Well, obviously, we were familiar with it from department store and stuff,
Hmm.
but it is a very special place. I think there's a lot of history there. And to just also insinuate, like, we're still very much guests there.
Hmm.
A lot of, especially the unhoused population, and a lot of the block boys that's even up and down the block, they're from there, and we're guests, and we have to, that responsibility is not lost on me. I think it's a matter of, I don't know. It's just something about that place. I feel like it is kind of an underdog. A lot of people overlook it. A lot of the neighbors and some of the businesses and even city council might even look at it and think of it as problematic. But I see it as something it's very charming. I
Hmm.
think it's still very family oriented. I think even if you talk to any of the people that's from there, they have so many stories about Grady Homes and Pink City and kind of what all that looked like back then. And there's still traces of it. And I think the NPU and even some of the neighbors that kind of give us a lot of a hard time from the businesses, they do their best to protect it and make sure that some of these bigger gas stations, for example, don't come in and you can't just open up shop. They vet through a lot of these applicants and these businesses very carefully. And I appreciate that. I don't think they're just letting anybody in, these big developments and stuff. I mean, some do slip in there,
Yeah.
obviously. But for the most part, there is a conscious effort to preserve the history um, of Old Fourth Ward, especially on Edgewood, because it is a lot going on over there.
Yeah, and especially with the World Cup coming and
Yeah.
FIFA and all these things, right? Like again, a friend of mine always talks about You're going to basically see the same amount of people as 7 Super Bowls
Yeah,
and 1 Olympic, right? Like
yeah.
coming here
And the
and
games are starting this month too. Like
yeah,
some of those prelim games are at the Ben Stadium right now. I've seen
right.
the schedule. Yeah,
Absolutely. Like
it's coming.
where do you think that, Edge, because I think one of the things that I think Atlanta really needs is a real defined nightlife district. And like there's
Mm.
places where it kind of moves around, but like you think about like in New Orleans, right? You tell everybody go to Bourbon Street. Like I don't know if you can tell everybody to go to Edgewood. You can tell some people to go out there, but like where do you think that Edgewood though plays when the world comes back to Atlanta, especially how it is now?
I think they're making efforts to clean it up right now. I think at one point, especially during and a little bit after the pandemic, we were very short staffed with APD,
Hmm.
and even the rookies, I don't think they wanted to come to Edgewood. A lot of them didn't. They were so understaffed. I don't think it's fair to even expect 2 or 3 officers to take on 4,000 people potentially in the street. I know Cop City obviously was a big topic, but now that some of that training has kind of come to an end, or not come to an end, they've graduated.
Hmm.
I think a lot of these officers, I'm starting to see an increased police presence. I think it starts with just even having the manpower to crowd control.
Yeah.
I think when you go to places like Bourbon Street, they have certain things in place. Like for instance, last call, they have these street sweepers that come and
Hmm.
they kind of push everybody out gently. Whereas before, you would see some of these APA officers, it's so combative,
Yeah.
and you got 3 or 4 officers, they're screaming at you, and like people are drunk already, and you're honestly outnumbered, and they just don't really have a good way of exiting people or even kind of like showing them what the program is. It's changed, or it's been so lawless that people are twerking on top of cars. There's horses, there's all kinds of, and there's no control. But now I can see that they're making an effort to take back some of that control now that they have more manpower behind the police force. But it is going to take some time. I think we are very close in proximity to the Ben Stadium and stuff, but I don't know what's to take. I just think we have to make it that long. We just have to make it to next year to see if we can get a piece of that. But I think there will be money in the city. I see the Beltline already, putting out
Yeah.
grants and stuff, but I don't pay a Beltline tax where I'm at. I think it's like maybe a few businesses down where it ends. But do people from that Beltline exit by Boulevard, do they even make it down to me? Not really.
Yeah.
That trolley that sits in front of our stop, like nobody's riding that thing, but hopefully they will. Like, I don't know. I see them trying. I see everybody scrambling. I see budgets being released. What
Hmm.
do they do? They just did like a couple $1 billion, like the largest grant
Yeah.
or the largest budget ever for city council. Where does that go? I don't know. I feel like Beltline would definitely be a priority though, and then maybe we can get like the leftovers of it.
No. Y'all need to get more than just leftovers now.
Yeah,
We don't
I
want y'all to
mean,
get the scraps.
I think it's very unique too, though, because you have the historical district that's there, you have the neighborhoods, and then you have the businesses, and they're all kind of at odds. They don't really come to an agreement on anything, but we're gonna have to if we want to make this work. So hopefully that you see some changes. There's more conversations happening. I think Liliana's doing a great job. I know Amir is probably leaving out this year, I hear, but hopefully that some of this stuff can pick. I think it just has to be consistency, and it just hasn't been consistent enough to
Yeah.
stick.
Yeah. And one of the things you said a little while ago was that, you consider yourself to be like guests on Edgewood in a sense,
Yeah.
right? Like what are some of the things that you all have done that really, made the people in that community feel welcomed in at our bar and really appreciate and support what you all are doing?
So like I guess let's go back a little bit to like just a personal gripe of mine, right? Like so many Asian business owners historically have come into Black neighborhoods, whether they're nail salons, whether they're little food marts and stuff. And I feel like a lot of the Asians don't feel like they are a part of that community. They think they come and they set up shop and they live somewhere totally different. I think it's Black dollars that kept food on a lot of these Asian households' tables, yet none of it goes back to that direct community.
Hmm.
And I've always had an issue with that. I don't know if it's a language barrier. I don't know if it's because they're immigrants or whatever the excuse may be. But I've always gone on my way to be conscious of that. I want to hire within my community. I want to do events for my direct community. I want to help the people that I see every day. I want to learn everybody's name, whether they're unhoused or not. I want to write letters and show up for people at court, whatever the case may be. If I can help for somebody directly within our bars, like property, like I will do that. But I think that's just something that hasn't happened, and I just have an issue with it. So I think just moving forward with knowing like what can I do to help my direct community first has always kind of put us at an advantage, or at least being accepted by our community,
Yeah. I mean,
because it's important.
yeah, to your point, like, it was funny. We were actually in here talking about, things like property and taxes and like that stuff earlier. And I think that's one thing that even it happens a lot of times with police. And that's why I think that, what Atlanta is doing, Well, again, there's definitely some aspects of Cop City that I don't agree with. One of the things I think is important in a city like Atlanta is we do have a police force that represents the broader community,
Yeah.
right? Because what ends up happening in a lot of cities is, if we're just being honest with ourselves, a lot of police are ex-military, because they've had that structure for so long.
Hmm.
They come into a city, they police that area, but then to your point, they live somewhere else.
Hmm.
And so it's almost like you're basically paying somebody to come down here and bust your head, give you a hard time,
Right.
right? And then as soon as they're done, they pack up and they go to Marietta, they go to Alpharetta,
Right.
and that's where they're actually spending their tax dollars at. That's where they live at. That's where their property taxes are being paid.
Yeah.
And they just come down here to kind of keep the peace, right?
Mm.
And so, like, I think it's important, to definitely have people that are, in that area, that are living in that area.
Yeah.
Atlanta does a lot of good work in making sure that police actually live in some of these areas. They're actually helping giving them houses
And cars too,
and
right?
cars too,
Yeah.
right? Because again, like it's hard for you to sit here and harass somebody if you live in that same neighborhood.
Right.
Like I had a friend of mine, I'm not gonna say his name, but I had a friend of mine who, he was coming home one night from being out and he had maybe had a couple of drinks
Mm.
and, but the police live in his neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so he ran a stop sign and the policeman pulled him over. Well, that policeman knows him.
Oh, yeah.
And that policeman has a relationship with him that's not just a random guy getting stopped at night.
Right.
So while that situation could have went one way, because that policeman is in the neighborhood and he see each other every day and he knows this person, he just made sure he got home safely.
There's grace there.
Right. And I
That's
think
community.
yeah, and that's community, right? And I
It
think
is.
that's, so to your point, right? Like it's about coming into these communities and not just extracting everything you can
No.
from whoever you are.
Yeah.
Whatever you are, white, black, Asian, anything in between, right? And I think that's where people get a lot of stuff wrong is they come in these communities, they see the opportunity,
Yeah.
they set up shop, and they just extract and take and take and take. And what I
Right.
see is y'all doing is giving and doing things back. Like I said, whether it's housing community forums from the Atlanta City Council, or
Right.
I remember actually we did a partnership when we were running for city council, some of the mayor stuff.
Yes, I think we did the post one at large
Yeah.
interview there. Did you moderate? Or Mr. Michael Jordan did.
Yeah,
I
help
think.
moderate that.
On his
and-
birthday.
Yeah, and so it's
Yeah.
actually important, right, to kind of have those moments where, again, it's not just about also turning up, but it's also about giving those people an opportunity to come in and showcase how the bar shows up in different ways. And one of the things I really love that y'all do is also like the Narcan training in the
Yeah.
nightlife. Where did that part come from?
Well, I mean, obviously, we're in the nightlife scene.
Right.
People party and people overdose. There's a huge fentanyl problem right now, or it's been. And I partnered with the Atlanta Harm Reduction Coalition. Yep.
Mhm.
And Sarah, she came and taught classes. And then we were like, man, this is so informative. And we were like, well, let's see if we can, as nightlife people, you're always kind of like right there first. You see somebody passed out, you see somebody overdose, and like it would be, how cool would it be if we could train 300 hospitality professionals
Yeah.
from bars all over Atlanta? So that way on any given night at any party, somebody might be there that has already taken the class at our bar. So we were able to hit that goal and we trained 300 people. We worked with the nightlife mayor at the time and did some stuff at City Hall as well too. We did Stop the Bleed classes for any type of shooting or just any type of trauma to, kind of
Mhm.
stop the bleed and stuff. Because a lot of times the police response is not that fast. And we've had to run to the firehouse a few times and bang on their door as their first responders. Squad 4, they're badasses though.
Yeah.
So they were able to bring the fire truck out. But there's been a couple of times we've witnessed some shootings and people are bleeding out and they're right there at that light. Our security's right there. And we have turntkits, we have everything. We'll gauze it, we'll stuff it, and then we'll run to the firehouse and try to save a life. But I think a lot of hospitality people it would behoove you to be equipped in that sense,
yeah.
especially because people are overdosing everywhere off of everything.
Well, no, that's important. Again, it's important that
Yeah.
you all are, again, in that space because, yeah, there are people that probably wouldn't be here right now if Arbar wasn't right there.
Yeah, we did get a couple of text messages, and it was definitely tear jerking. It was nice to know that they were like, I had Narcan on me. So yeah, she dropped off maybe 1,000 doses of Narcan for us, and we passed them out on our industry nights. People were welcome to grab as many as they want. Keep them in your car. They don't really expire. I think they say like 30 something years, but it can go beyond that.
Yeah.
But people were just sharing them, and I feel like it's just. I think a question that came up was like, can I get in trouble for even having this on me? Like, is it incriminating if I get, pulled over by the police? Which is a valid question, but I think the more you desensitize people to that and just having it, and it's just a norm. It's just a part of my kit, my survival kit. I keep it in my car. You never know.
Yeah.
I think it's now the stigma has kind of gone away a little bit, which is nice. It does save lives.
Has it been hard to kind of balance all those things at once to like be a safe space, to be a cultural hub, and you still run the business at the same time too, right?
Yeah, no, it's really expensive. A lot of the stuff that we do, especially some of the stuff, a lot of the charity work and a lot of the drives, and especially Hug the Block, it does cost a lot of money, but it's so well worth it. I think our staff get a big kick out of it. They enjoy it. people that aren't even our staff, but just some of our regulars that are from that neighborhood want to be involved. If you have a group of people that want to do it, then I think why would we not, do everything we can? Like, it's really about the customers, right? So if this is stuff that interests them and this is stuff that they want to do and participate in, and they're proud to talk about it and they're proud to be a part of it, then why would I combat that and do something totally different?
Yeah.
It's, you have to actively be listening and just kind of like observe and see, like, what do people really want to do? If they're given the opportunity and they had the way to just show up and be a part of something and help, I think most likely they will. You just have to kind of like feed it to them a little bit. You got to bring them to the water or whatever.
Yeah, you gotta bring it to them. Let's say you
Yeah.
gotta bring a horse to the water, or you gotta
Yeah.
bring it to something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
You gotta come to the people. You gotta
I
meet the
just,
people where they're at.
and I feel like that's something I always learned too. When I had this mentor, she was just like, when you when you come to me with something, put it in a yes or no form. Like, so
Yeah.
I could just answer yes or no. So I would package everything and okay, hey, this happened, but I can do this, yes or, and just kind of present it to her in a way that all she had to do was say yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
So she just picks up the phone. Hey, I'm thinking about this, damage control, whatever the case may be. So I try to do that even with the events. Like, how could I just have people show up and just either enjoy it or not?
Yeah.
They don't have to really do any thinking. There's really no homework or like less work for them.
Yeah. What would have been some of your favorite or most memorable moments since you all been doing R-Bar? I know a lot of amazing stuff happens. Again, y'all do these special events, everything from tufting classes and all kind of stuff.
Oh,
Between
yeah.
karaoke nights, always fun. Like, what's been some of your favorite moments up there?
Man, I feel like on a weekly event level, I guess, I love karaoke. I think I see a lot of people's families come in on them. They're like, my mom's in town, my aunt's in town, my grandma's in town. People are coming to celebrate graduations. It's probably the most like entry level, like effortless, great vibes. Everybody knows everybody night is probably a Sunday. I like the spades tournament too on Wednesdays.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's always it feels like a family cookout type vibe. I think some of the bigger events we've done or just like one-offs would be like a field day. Where we do just all kinds of like field day games. It's very childlike, a lot of childlike play. Some of the nonprofit stuff, Hug the Block is obviously up there, but we've done some other stuff too. When it goes a few times, there were no shelters available when it dropped below freezing. I want to say it was like 2 Christmases ago, and it just came out of nowhere. It was like below 5 or something. The staff wanted to stay overnight and let some people sleep over. Yeah, that was probably. Oh, I get emotional thinking about it. It was so nice.
Oh, yeah,
But yeah, we do what we can. But that was really cool. We cooked soup. A lot of the pop-up chefs came and brought food last minute. People came home with they went home and got their blankets, and we probably housed like 60-something people that night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they were just spread out everywhere, but they were comfortable. We watched Def Jam comedy. They played cards. We drank. We smoked. We just had a ball. And I think we bonded a lot that day. We got to stay up with Mr. Mike and talk about what his, you just kind of got to learn people's stories. Yeah, we know their names, but we don't really know their background and their stories. And a lot of them are from the old Fourth Ward, Grady Homes and stuff. And they had some stories for sure. But even those moments, they stay with me.
Yeah, I mean, again, like it sounds like like none of that was probably in the business plan.
No, not at all. But there was a need there, though, like the pandemic, and that's where Des came in. Because we opened March 1st, and then the shutdown was March 16th.
Oh, wow.
So we didn't have nothing to do after that point. But because I guess we were deemed essential, but we had those strict curfews and stuff. So we kind of was like, what do we do? And then at that point, they would, at one point they would be asking for $1. Let me get some change. To like, do you have any water?
Mm-hmm.
So you instantly saw a shift in like what survival looked like at that point because all the businesses were closed. So their means of survival just got cut into like there is none. So now you got people asking for water. So Chef D was like, hey, we'll meet at the bar. We'll stay however many feet apart and we'll just do an assembly line. And we made 100 brown bag lunches a day for like 6 or 7 months straight.
Oh, wow.
And we did that, and the bar wasn't open at that time, and this is before the curfew. So we would do that, and at that point, we'd just go on foot and just pass it out, masked up, gloved up, temperature checks and all that. And at that point, we got to really know everybody, and that's when I think we bonded the most with them. And then we, slowly opened back up and stuff, and they're still there. A lot of them have passed away or have moved on and got housing, but for the most part, the majority of them are still there. It's the same people.
Yeah, I had another group that we were talking to, and they kind of had a similar situation where they launched their business. I think literally days before kind of the pandemic hit and the world kind of shut down, right?
Crazy.
Like at that moment, what were you even thinking? Was like, what, we might be in over our heads, or we're just going to lean into this? Like,
No,
what do
we
you
were
remember most about that time?
Yeah, it was so scary. But then honestly, too, when we were doing that, like the Block Boys still doing what the Block Boys do, even with the businesses, but they would come and mess with us. They'd come and just kind of be like, well, shit, let me buy a shot. I got $10 and they'd see me every day. So that's when the community it worked both ways. We were helping the unhoused. in-house, they were helping us, and they'd be like, well, let me jump in. And they'd come in and it was like, oh, you want me to go down to the Big Head Park? I'll pass them out there. They knew where the spots were that we didn't. So then our footprint got a little bit bigger, and we were able to like cover more ground and feed more people. And I don't know, at that point we just kind of and then a lot of them ended up working for me when we did open back up. So I'd hire them as security or bar backs or a sound engineer. Some of them have sound experience. Some of them are rappers,
Yeah.
So it just kind of, and they're still around to this day. I love them to death.
That's cool. That's cool. So what does growth look like? I mean, again, do you all think about expanding? Is it more impact? Is it a bigger location, another location? Like, what does growth look like for our bar?
I feel like that's one thing I did learn is that it's definitely not franchisable. I think what makes our bar special is the people that work there.
Yeah.
It is that family vibe that you talk about where people are kind of doing their own thing. But it's like if we were to pop open in Miami, unless the same people went and opened that place up, like would it have the same magic? I don't think so. So it's, if you look at it from a business sense, there is no handbook. There is no copy and paste where we could just pop up, 30, 40 of them all across the nation. I think it is a one and done type of situation. Which is sad because, we went into it thinking like, oh my God, we could do Miami, we could do Charlotte, we could do all these places, but what it's turned into is not really franchisable.
Yeah, it's customized. But even with that though, I mean, do you think this could exist? That's what I always kind of ask myself because I get asked that question about butter all the time, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, would you ever do a Butter LA or a Butter NYC? And what happened to me is I remember when we launched Butter, I ended up having to go to Miami for a family reunion, like literally had the launch party, like, I don't know, like on a Thursday. And that Saturday I was in Miami and I was walking around in Little Haiti and I was looking, I said, you know what? Yeah, this would never work down here. And the reason why I said it would never work is because Miami is so diverse.
Yeah.
So many kinds of people. Atlanta's still pretty binary in a lot of ways. Like it's still pretty black and white in a lot of ways. But I'm just thinking like, if Butter Miami's not in Spanish and it's not doing all these things, right? And it's the same thing about LA, right? Same thing, right? Or even New York. It's like so many different cultures. How do you kind of stand up and say this is the thing that like really leans in and kind of represents? So, but I guess what I'm asking is like, even if it's not in another city, do you think there's anywhere else, like if there was anywhere else in Atlanta, just dreaming for a second, like do you think there's anywhere else in Atlanta that our bar could have a similar kind of successful impact as it is on Edgewood?
I don't think so. I wouldn't even say it's successful really because it's like it's so hard. Like I'm so sick of breaking even. Like I'm in year 6. It's like the overhead is crazy. Security costs so much. Like I have the expenses of a nightclub and the sales of a restaurant. And it's like people have fun in between, and that's worth it to me. To me, that is some type of payback. But it's like, man, I don't know. It's exhausting. I don't even know. I look at some of these other businesses, and I'm like, how is there 30 crews like all within this like metro Atlanta area? Like I don't know how anybody has the time to even open up another one, or maybe it's like a compound thing. It's like you open up the second, third, and it becomes easier, but it's like there's no way that I could give it the same amount of attention and detail and like love that I give our bar to anything else. It's completely all consuming.
Yeah, I mean
So maybe I'm doing it wrong, is really what that is. But it's like I don't think I could do anything else and not give it my complete all either. And that's with me having 30 something staff members and 2 other business partners that work full time at it too. So like to even think about opening anything else, oh my goodness.
What's one of the biggest misconceptions people have about running a business, especially a nightlife kind of bar like that?
I don't know, but I'll tell you one thing. I feel like you need a lawyer for everything, and nobody told me that.
What do
Running,
you
being a GM and stuff at a department store, it's like, oh, scheduling conflicts, people late, people smoking, and just like, oh, we might get a health inspection. Like that might be the biggest thing, but just realizing that like for every letter we get, or just every even like garnishment of wages for a previous employee, like everything is a lawyer, and it's $460 an hour. It's like, fuck.
Well, that's we were talking about this before. Like that's the beauty of ChatGPT too, a little bit though.
Yeah,
like,
no, for sure.
I mean, all this AI stuff. I mean, again, like what's going to end up happening, but that is it's going to drive the cost of a lot of these knowledge-based businesses down ultimately to zero. Like, how does that even play in? Because I know we were talking about it offline. Like, where do you think that artificial intelligence plays into this everything you're working on?
So, like, I don't know. Just from what I've been gathering, it's like language in, language out is probably like your job's going to be replaced, or like language in, like video, or like image out. Your job, anything like data entry or very repetitive, your job is probably going to be obsolete. But I do think that there is like, I think people will seek proof of humanity moving forward. They'll probably look at something and want to know if it's AR or not. And things like riffing at a comedy show where they're engaging with the guests in real time. Like, for sure that's not AI. And that couldn't be prompted by AI. I think things like that will be cherished and like of high value. So things like at the bar, like just impromptu and very spontaneous moments like live jazz performances or something. I think things like that will be very appreciated, and people will want to vet if something is AI before they go into it too. So I think it will be some self-correction there. But I think experiences in a bar is very impromptu, and it can't be. I mean, I could use AI to help guide me to some experiences or just help me kind of mold a run of show maybe even.
Yeah.
But some of the interactions that happen within that night, AI can't really help me with that yet.
No, I mean, I think it'll be a while. For me, I really believe that while it'll take away some of the more mundane, repetitive things, the thing that's always going to exist
I love that stuff though.
is the humanity element of it.
I love the mundane things, like that's my thing. You just put me at a laptop all day. I'll sit there and just like yeah.
But now you got a superpower though. That's my part with it. Like that's
and
the part, right?
I could use yes, it is. But I've gotten so comfortable with that. I was so good at that, and I felt like it kind of made me special a little bit. But now I got something to do it for me, so I have to focus elsewhere. So there's some pivoting involved and a new learning curve that I have to get over again. Just like any other day.
Just like anything else, right? But again, like my old mentor told me, like, it's not. That's not going to replace you. Like AI is not going to replace people. It's the people that know how to use those tools that's going to replace, right? So like
prompt engineering, man.
Like leaning into it early, like you're doing, is just it's also opening it up, and it's helping you all, again, do more stuff, be more efficient.
Yeah.
Hopefully like helping break through some of those ways so you all can just do more stuff and really kind of make the bar get its full potential. Because I feel like you all haven't really even hit like the full potential of what you even want to do with it.
Definitely money wise we haven't. So I would only hope that there's more to get from this. Than barely scraping by.
What legacy do you hope our bar leaves behind? Like as time goes by, when all this is gone and everybody remembers it, like what legacy do you hope our bar leaves behind?
I think about that sometimes, especially when I do some of these throwback posts or when we celebrate our anniversaries. I go back and look at these videos, and I'm so proud of the fact that a lot of the people that are in that first video from year one at our first Edgewood Awards or our first, you know what? That's probably a good event that I love too, Edgewood Awards, where we give out superlatives and everybody dresses up. It's like our prom, and people look so nice. But those same people are here at year 5 in the same video in a different outfit and still just as proud to be there. And that to me is like so special.
Yeah.
The fact that we can retain the attention of, there's so many bars in Atlanta. There's so many places opening and closing that are offering way better deals and way better of an experience. But yet I still have retained the attention of these same group of people that that are so loyal to me, that will come and spend their $6 on a reposado day in and day out every day. Bring their kids to the kids' events, come volunteer, come donate blankets. Like, how cool is that? I hope I never lose that. What was the question? Sorry.
No, it's about just legacy, like you want to leave
Yeah,
behind.
I hope people look back at that and they're just like, man, you kind of like how they talk about department store, like you just had to be there.
Yeah.
And I think that's just like, and it just kind of leaves people with a feeling of FOMO, or just some of those times when we reminisce about department store, like, remember that? And it's just like, oh, fuck. And it kind of brings you closer, even as a group, to feel like, oh, dude, I do remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Holy fuck, how did we get away with that? It's just like, what were we thinking? But it's just like anything else nostalgic. It kind of brings back those, like, it takes you right back to where it was.
Yeah, I think it's a special place. And,
Thanks.
I believe that in life, you're lucky if you get at least one experience where you can kind of describe it by you had to be there.
Yeah.
I remember I used to work at a sports radio station out here, 79 The Zone, and there was
sports radio.
Yeah, I've done all kind of stuff, and we used to do all kind of crazy things. Like I remember one time we literally rented out a house and made it into a reality show. And this was like in 2005.
Like real world type stuff.
Y'all
lived there?
We did. We like lived there for a week, and because we were streaming everything online, and we were trying to find.
Did you have a confessional?
We did. We actually set up a confessional room.
Shit! Oh, I love that.
We convinced the folks from Hooters to do a photo shoot in our backyard.
Oh, rest in peace, Hooters! I just saw y'all's post.
And we live streamed it, and we invited listeners up. It was, and the reason why I talk about that though is because when I talk about that time, it's funny. I still know people, like even some of the guys here at iHeart. A couple of them. That's how I actually know some of these people. Is they used to work there and. And like me and some other friends, we'll get together sometimes. We'll be like, man, can you believe we used to get away with some of this shit?
Yeah.
And, but I always say, like, it was just a time to where you had to be there. Like, there'll never be another experience
Can't even
like
explain
that.
It. Yeah.
You just had to be there. And I kind of feel like that's what you're saying about our bar, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of it to where you just had to be there. It's a moment. It's special. And while it's here, we're going to just really enjoy it and kind of sit in this moment. Because if you're lucky, you get one. Like I've been lucky enough to have maybe 2, maybe 3 of those experiences.
Yeah.
But if you're really lucky, you just get one, right? And it sounds like this might be one of those ones. I mean,
I
definitely
hope so.
department store was probably one as well. Like you just had to
Yeah.
be there.
Yeah, I hope so too. Especially now that we're a little bit more mature, we have food, so people don't get as wasted. And,
Yeah.
you know,
Food's
go
always good too,
yeah,
by
we're
the
not.
way.
Yeah, we're not 23 years old anymore. So a lot of us, you know, a lot of them have kids, and it's like you spend so much time with us at our bar. You know, like bring your kids up here. I
Yeah.
can't bring them on a Sunday night or a Saturday night, but you could bring them on a Sunday day from 3
Yeah.
to 6, and we'll do some type of vision board party, or we'll do like an Easter egg hunt, and we'll do some stuff to like. It's important for me to meet them where they're at. Like their mothers first, you know, or
Mhm.
fathers first, and their patrons next. So if I could do something that kind of like make them more proud or make them love us a little bit more, especially share something as special as their children with us by bringing them by and us having a photo booth for them and just you know, just any type of memory. I
Yeah.
think we should share it together,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
even
Look,
if we don't make any money at the bar, because none of them drink. You know, like it's okay because they come back any other day and they
yeah.
spend it with us.
Yeah. And people need those spaces and those escapes from it. You know,
Yeah.
if someone walked into our bar, you know, for the first time tonight, what would you want them to feel and experience?
What's tonight? Tonight's Friday. Oh, what do I want? I would like them to. So, like, even the design of the bar, when I worked at Follies, I love the fact that it was a square bar. Even
Mhm.
as a bartender, it made my life a lot easier. So, you know, when we built out our bar, I wanted that square bar so that somebody sitting here and then somebody over there could even share, like, let's say somebody fell or somebody did something or something funny happened. They could kind of share eye contact and like
Mhm.
have this moment, and they'll see them again and again, and they get closer and closer. And as a bartender, it's less work for me. I can just kind of let them kind of do, and I can just assist. Oh, you do so and so. Like, let me introduce you to, and it
Yeah.
gives you this like pit. So I would think that if they came on a Friday night, that they would sit there, even if they came alone. They might make eye contact with somebody else. The bartender might assist with an introduction or something, that they would see each other again on a Wednesday and play spades. They might come back on a Sunday and sing karaoke, and they would somehow end up being friends.
Mhm.
You know, and I think they just through just seeing them passing by, I think people get more comfortable with each other, sharing some of these moments that happen, like these blooperish type things at a bar like they often do, and just being able to connect in that way and leaving out of there thinking like, man, I had a ball. Like I didn't have to spend that much money. Nobody was rude or obnoxious. Like everybody was really friendly. And I kind of walked out of there like remembering some faces. So when I go back and seeing them again, I'd be like, oh yeah, you were the dude. Remember that time so-and-so fell off the stage? You know,
Yeah.
just whatever the case may be, which I've seen happen like organically a lot. And it just makes the bartender like it doesn't make it so stiff where you're just kind of sitting there looking around.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, look, Sarah, this has been good. I appreciate you coming pulling up
Yeah.
and sharing kind of the experience and story of our bar. Before we get out of here, please tell people how they can get to our bar, how they can find y'all, how they can support y'all, how they can get signed up. Give them all the things.
We're located on Edgewood. You'll see the big this ATL ho
Yep.
sign in our window. We're open 6 days a week. We're closed on Mondays. You can follow us at Our ATL, OURBARATL, and yeah, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube.
Hey, well, look, Sarah, thank you all again.
Thanks,
It's
Brandon.
one of my favorite spots. But again, y'all are also doing amazing stuff over there and just being
Yeah.
a place that needs to exist in the community. And so while y'all
You
have a
still-
good time, y'all are definitely doing the work that needs to be done over there.
Thank you. Do you still drink Jameson Orange?
You know, I tried it when it
You
first
went
came
through a
out.
phase,
You know, I
yeah.
went through a phase with it, but you
You
know what? Even
did.
that's why I came up there because you know what? You would
Yeah,
always
I
make
was
sure
like,
I had
man, he
some.
likes that stuff.
I was just trying to help y'all get rid of it.
No, I appreciate it because we did. We had a bunch of it. I was like, please, somebody come drink this. I appreciate you. Thank you.
I appreciate you coming out, man. With that said, that's the pod, y'all. We out. Peace.
Ooh.